Writer Shane White grew up in South Armagh and later worked in London, but after many years was glad to turn his back on life as a civil servant. He'd always enjoyed writing but decided it would be fulfilling to have more time to devote to it. He's now a published author and playwright, and he's here to tell us more about Not Quite a Stranger's fourth book. Is available on Amazon. Shane, lovely to speak to you.
Good to be here, Jerry.
Shane, tell me, in terms of creative writing, what have you done to date before Not Quite a Stranger, the latest book?
Well, I've had three other novels published, and excuse me, and also a memoir of growing up in South Armagh. A couple of plays, one actually which was on in the London Irish Centre last year, called Dream On, and which we're hoping to take to Northern Ireland at the end of this year. Previous to that, Romance in the Score was a play on in Pentameters in Hampstead a couple of years ago. It had a 3-week run. I work, of course, with John Dunn at the Irish Theatre. The novels are based in Ireland, mainly comic, although there's always a dark element, as indeed this book is particularly dark. Not Quite a Stranger. It's very much darker than I usually write. But there is humour in it, which I think if you're writing about the Irish, you can't exclude humour.
No, it's got a number of powerful themes running through it, with parallels to your own life. You've acknowledged that it's a difficult book to read.
Yes, funny enough, when I was writing it, I mean, as a writer, you're always hoping that your reader will at least enjoy what you're writing about. This was a book I suppose I've always wanted to write. I'm interested in the legacy of Northern Ireland. The past itself should remain there, but I think the legacy talked about in the context of Northern Ireland now is very much about who did what to who. I mean, that should be kept in the past. I don't think that serves anyone well to bring that up. But I was interested in how people are now living, and often with the past, it's the architect of the present, and excuse me, unfortunately, it shouldn't be the architect of the future. But with the two brothers, Rory and Declan, unfortunately it is. It's holding on to their present, and it's making them frightened of the future.
Right. Now, on the strap line on the back is families, you can't live with them and you can't live without them. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Can you give us a brief outline roughly of the story?
Well, it's very much a story of a broken relationship about these two brothers who were reunited after 10 years. That was the last time they met. They haven't spoken to each other for about 4. Declan, who lives in Northern Ireland, decides to come over to visit his brother Rory, who lives in London. Rory is extremely worried because he doesn't know what Declan will come. The lovable Declan, the raging, the angry man. And throughout the story, we're following their journey, to use a cliche, of trying to reignite their relationship that once existed. But the past comes to bear, and this is what causes a lot of anguish. They're both trying to face the past and deal with the past, but also they're trying to avoid it. If I hope the reader does understand that, and we see them getting closer, which is a nice part of the book, but we also see the fear that the past is going to come up and really destroy them forever. And the past actually is that their father was murdered in the Troubles in Northern Ireland. And they haven't really dealt with it, but as they talk about their past, they realise that they've both gone the same way. They've become more withdrawn. Personal relationships have just died. And they've taken to drink, and they've taken to drugs, and it's a fractured relationship, and they realise that both their lives have been destroyed, and they're trying to build something. But Declan, the brother who's come over from Northern Ireland, as we go through the book, we find out that he has something in mind that he thinks will help them to move forward. And it's quite a frightening idea that Rory has to either agree with or decide to let his brother go. And that's at the end of the book, and I do hope the reader gets that bit and enjoys the journey.
Well, the story is basically told through the eyes of that particular brother Rory, yes?
That's right, yes, very much so. We get We get his feelings, but they're mirrored by how Declan is as well. And although we hear from it's Rory's voice, we do get to know an awful lot about his brother and what they've shared. And what they've shared, and they didn't really realise it, that they're going through the same thing together. It's really about, it's a story about loss of life, loss of a way of life, and indeed a loss of oneself. But it's trying to build something from the present, so they can go into the future and try and live a relatively normal life. And I think in the context of Northern Ireland and the Troubles, although I'm loath ever to write about the Troubles because I think really we've had enough, but as I said earlier, the legacy interested me. And I wanted to explore how people are dealing with it, how they're getting on. I think the Irish, being the Irish, we do put a brave face on an awful lot of things. But it's there, and I think it comes out sort of 20, 30 years later, and this is the story that I tried to tell. But this sounds very dark, very heavy. There is humour, of course there's humour. Some of the characters that I introduce, I hope, bring a comic value to the story.
Right, it's certainly sort of dealing with some dark issues, but
very much so, yeah.
And issues which are probably very close indeed to reality, if not mirroring reality indeed.
In some ways, yes.
Indeed. Now, we'll follow your outpost with interest, Shade. I would say to anybody to take a look at the book, Not Quite a Stranger. It's available at Amazon. The link to the Amazon listing is on our website, irishradio.org. The review is also on my Facebook page. It's a thought-provoking novel. And Shane, listen, I wish you every success in the future with it. And it sounds definitely like a riveting read. Perhaps at the start a little bit dark, but when you get your teeth into it, it's certainly a very interesting book.
Thanks very much, Jerry.
Shane, listen, I wish you continued success in all your artistic works.
That's great. Lovely. Thanks very much.
Shane, lovely to speak to you. Thank you.
Thanks now. Bye-bye.